Devin Pike with Red Carpet Crash here with the gatekeeper of content for Lucasfilm. It's Steve Sansweet. Steve, how are you doing today?
Good to see you.
Pleased to see you. I want to get into this first because I've read the story, but a lot of people haven't. How did you start amassing your collection of Star Wars memorabilia?
Well, I didn't mean to, but I was collecting space toys, rockets and robots, old Japanese space toys when Star Wars came out and blew me away. So I started collecting some of the Star Wars stuff as part of my space collection, and became a little bigger part, and then Empire came out and totally blew me away, and I started going back and buying stuff to fill in the collection. It was all new on the shelves, and I had always thought when I was buying the Japanese items, if only I had a time machine and could go back. Well, guess what? That was the time machine because Star Wars was my present, and so I just kept amassing, and pretty soon it took over the space toy collection, and pretty soon it completely froze out the space toy collection.
I've seen video of it's almost a museum with the bi-level area.
Well, it is a museum in a way because we've set it out so we can give tours. I give a lot of charity tours, and we've set it up so it's visually attractive. It's not just stuff in boxes and just stuff stuck on shelves. And you know, my museum manager, collection manager, Ann Newman, does a lot of that stuff and does the inventorying, and she's my co-author on the new book.
Now, when did the Lucasfilm organization approach you to start doing work with their content management?
Oh, they didn't approach me. Well, they did, in a way.
Because, I know a lot about Star Wars, but I'm not going to be able to go out to Marin County and say, hey, I know a lot about Star Wars, give me a gig.
I had a pretty damn good career going with the Wall Street Journal. I was a reporter and then bureau chief in Los Angeles for 9 years, and so and I thought I would end my career in journalism. I got a call from Lucasfilm. Gee, that's familiar music.
That would be the sound system I was telling you about.
That is powerful. You haven't seen this visually, but that's in a lightsaber. Lightsaber. Oh, it's amazing. Wow. Unbelievable. Carry your own sound system.
Hey, bring your own band.
Yeah. I had heard that Lucasfilm had restarted its publishing division in the early 90s, and they were talking about doing a collectibles book. So I called them cold and said, gee, if anybody does that book, it should be me. And they said, well, who are you? And one thing led to another, and it led to my first book, From Concept to Screen to Collectible. And then in the mid-90s, I got a call from the head of communications saying, Steve, we're looking for a suggestion of somebody who might want to work for us. It's just like sort of a summer job, and the pay isn't much, but we need somebody to go out and sort of do, somebody that's in our staff to be able to tell fans what the special editions are all about. And I said, well, let's talk. And so basically I took a flyer on a one-year job with absolutely no assurance there'd be anything after that because there hadn't been a marketing department for 10 years and they were going to establish one. And then the new head of marketing would decide who to hire. So, that was how I started going around the country, actually around the world, as sort of the Star Wars ambassador. And then the marketing department started, and in addition to the fan relations, then they said, well, we need somebody to sort of devise and carry out the rollout strategy for content for the prequels. Who gets what images, when do we reveal this, and we made a strong case, and so we actually did reveal things to the fan world much sooner than we did to the broad and general public. So even as the internet was getting stronger, we were still able to reveal things to fans before it got the broad exposure. Because
that was a weird time, right about the time between when the remastered original trilogy comes out and the first prequels, where LucasArts really didn't know how to handle new media, and you've been credited with being able to make it more open for fans.
Well, one of my jobs was to help launch StarWars.com. I was not the first editor, but I was sort of mentoring that whole startup operation. Which, when you look back, and they refreshed one story a week, and those were the very early days. I also was the first editor of our internal website, LucasNet. And so there's a lot of jobs that I do and start and then turn over to somebody else. And I love doing things like that. But,
have you been privy to some information, like one little piece where you're out at the ranch and you see something, you hear something, and it's just itching in your back of your brain and you can't tell a soul?
all the time. I mean, obviously when you're dealing with continuity and you're dealing with stories and there's some major story points, you don't want them to escape. You don't want them to ruin the satisfaction of fans. I mean, Lucasfilm is famous for just really hating spoilers, and it's not because, you spoiled it. You spoiled it for the fans. And there are a lot of fans out there who want to see the movie without knowing everything about it. Why spoil the story points? If everybody knew that Darth was Luke's father before, 3 months before Empire Strikes Back opened, it would take something away. I mean, it's that famous Simpsons episode where he has the flashback and he and Marge are walking out of the theater and he's spilling his guts about, well, gee, it was pretty amazing that Darth Vader was Luke's father, and all the people in line are going,
Has the internet made it harder to be a fan and have that pure experience to go in and see a movie for the first time and all of it become a good entertainment experience?
Well, yes, of course. It's there are so many, when the movies were coming out, there are so many sites out there that just itched for spoilers. At one point it got so bad that someone actually stole a copy, and I can't remember whether it was episode 2 or episode 3, but actually stole a real script. And it was very difficult to do that. And started trying to sell it to some fan sites for $100,000, which of course shows that that person had the faintest idea what fan sites were about. And the first couple of fan sites who were approached helped us. And, we worked with Australian authorities and Interpol, and we nailed the guy. So people don't want that. You could dump some, even if somebody offered it for free, I don't think anybody would take it and go with it and say, this is, we're going to ruin it for everybody. And it's bad enough when the books come out 6 weeks before the movie.
Final question. There are so many people who are clamoring for information on the TV series, the live-action TV series. I'm not going to ask you what you know about it because you know more than all the rest of us combined, but can we expect some kind of movement in information on that front here in the next year?
Oh, yeah, I think we'll definitely start talking about it within the next year. And, we're still looking at 2012 or 2013 before we see something, and those are still approximate dates. You never know. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes. We're not really into pre-production yet, but that could happen anytime, obviously. They're still working to finish Red Tails and do the post-production work on that. There's more seasons of Clone Wars that are in the works, and there's some other tricks up George's sleeve to be revealed at some point in the future.